the one area that will never lose value as long as humans exist is human skills, right? Are a trap, because even if you do, really when you see people who have achieved them, it doesn't necessarily mean you're happy. But if you're focused more on the information you're taking in and kind of who you're developing yourself into, that where you can still look at those failures and say, I learned a ton, and now.
And that's next on Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. So, the big question is this: how are ambitious people like us, who don't have a lot of resources, did not go to Ivy League colleges, were not born into wealth, how do we become resourceful enough, use our creativity, our dedication, and a little bit of crazy to bootstrap our way to realizing our dreams? Whether it is launching a new company, launching a new app, or making it to the top of the corporate ladder. That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers. If you like this video, do not forget to hit that like button now. Or if you want us to improve our content, go ahead and hit the thumbs down button and give us your feedback in the comment section below. Here at Tetranoodle, we are passionate about entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. Every week, we bring you insightful and engaging interviews, tips, tricks, and strategies to help you grow your business or rise in your corporate profession. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And do not forget to hit that bell icon so that you are notified when we publish new content. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. I'm your host, Manuj Aggarwal, and today we'll be talking with Eli Harrell. So Eli is the founder of Valhalla Online Services Incorporated, and it's located in Philippines. So that's awesome. We don't have many guests from Asia, so welcome. Eli helps founders and executives to solve problems through creativity and providing a wide-angle lens perspective. He says that he loves helping people see things from another point of view, unpack complicated scenarios, make decisions, and develop new partnerships that help them grow faster, build beautiful culture, and get more of their art into the world. So that's a noble cause. He has helped companies in Australia, Europe, North America, and even Asia to bring their world-changing, business-improving software products to life. Welcome, Eli. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you.
All right, great. So just so that our audience can get to know you better, can you give us a little bit of your background, your experience, and how did you migrate to Philippines? How was that story?
I will try to make it pretty concise and relatively short.
Sure.
My background is a little bit less than usual. I'm the oldest of 8 children, and I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, although I was West Coast in California. But my parents had a business, so I grew up as an entrepreneur with them, working in their business when I was a teenager. And I was also homeschooled. Yeah. So I think I learned more about business than I did about how to pass tests and get through school. But been an entrepreneur my whole life. Got married pretty young, had 2 kids in my mid-20s. Wow. Spent my 20s building 2 construction companies, and I guess technically, financially had reasonable success. Kind of had the American dream in my 20s, but kind of realized in my early 30s I was focusing so much on what I was doing and the businesses I was building, but I really wasn't very happy. So I sold my interests, my equity in those companies. And I was actually doing some consulting in 2013, 2014 for a US company that was opening some markets in Asia, and came to the Philippines for about a month. And I felt like the economy here was really thriving. It was a little bit chaotic, but felt like I could make maybe more impact here, and wanted my kids to grow. I wanted my kids to spend some time in a place where outside the country. So we took a crazy to move here for a year, and we've been here 5.5 years. So this is home now. I like Asia. So that's how that's kind of how I ended up here. A little bit of my background.
Yeah. Great story. All right. So tell me one thing, growing up in an entrepreneurial family, was that an advantage to you or disadvantage? Because I have a similar background. I come from an entrepreneurial family as well. So, I can share my thoughts. Is I didn't want to have to do anything with entrepreneurship because I saw how they worked so hard and they were always so busy. What was your experience like?
Yeah, that's interesting. Contrasting with the way you looked at it because of seeing your parents really busy. Yeah, I saw my parents. My dad worked way too much. Fortunately, I got to work with him, so that's the time I spent with my dad. But I saw my parents do a lot of things right, and then I saw a lot of mistakes that they made. And when I started reading I read the E-Myth in my mid-20s, and I realized that my parents had kind of, not known a lot of things about being entrepreneurs, that if I ever did it, I wanted to learn from their mistakes. But maybe I didn't really have a choice because they didn't set me up for employment. So I think I just learned how to find opportunities, and I love solving problems. So I don't think it really steered me away from being an entrepreneur, but I did see a lot of things I wanted to learn from.
That's great. All right. So I read one of your articles, very well written, the U economy. You talk about the U economy. So tell us what this U economy is all about.
Wow, it's been a long time since I read that article that I wrote. That was a while ago. If I remember correctly, what I was talking about there is I was actually kind of speaking to people in this country, in the Philippines at the time, quite a bit. I always forget to look at the camera, by the way, sorry. So in the way that the world is evolving right now, and the changes that are happening, I think that it's good for all people to realize that there are a lot of jobs that are going away. And if somebody can tell you how to do your job, if your job is just sort of, part of a machine and you're easily replaceable, we will see a lot of those jobs go away with AI in the next 15 years. But also recognize that there's a lot of opportunity, that if we take ownership of our own learning and growth, we can turn ourselves. There's a book I really like called Linchpin by Seth Godin. I recommend that as a read for anyone. But to turn yourself into a linchpin, what is the art you want to bring to the world? What is it that you want to deliver to the world that's unique about you? And also focusing on building the right skill sets so that we be invaluable. But we can deliver often that value to the world directly now. So there's a lot of people like freelancers or developers who work remotely, even entrepreneurs or small business owners that are not physically stuck in an office. They can move around and run their businesses from many places. So it's an interesting time. It creates a lot of different opportunities for people to bring their value to the world in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. So do you think that, with the advent of AI and all that, people will move more towards creative jobs, and the mechanical jobs, as you put it, the repetitive jobs, they will sort of start to vanish?
It's interesting. I just read a book called AI Superpowers about looking at China versus the US and sort of the race toward the AI, the future of AI. We're not as close as some people are afraid that we are, but we will see jobs like, we're going to see a lot of driverless vehicles. Maybe Uber starts to not need drivers. There's a lot of jobs that will start to go away. And I think one of the other questions that you said you might ask me, which would be about people that are in tech, because I think a lot of your followers are IT people, right? I think that's an amazing skill set to have. I want my son and my daughter, even if they want to learn coding languages, I think that's an amazing skill set. But I would also recommend that people recognize that as some of these jobs start to go away, the one area that will never lose value as long as humans exist is human skills, right? EQ, our ability to communicate and understand other people. We're going to need more and more people who are really good with people. I don't think that's going to go away. So whatever it is that you do, keep working on those communication skills and understanding humans better. And I think it will just make you better at what a little bit more future-proof, I think.
Yeah, for sure. That's a very good advice. Now, do you think, you've had experience living in North America and Philippines, and you were homeschooled, so you have a very unique perspective. Do you think our education system is set up for, and they are giving the right education to the kids and youngsters to face this future scenario?
Overall, not so much. I think it's in some places, yes, some schools, yes, but they're evolving more quickly than others. But as a whole, I've heard a lot of people that I respect a lot, Peter Diamandis, a few other people have said, and I agree, that the educational model that we're using globally is not just broken; it's kind of obsolete. Because we needed that for factory workers and industrial revolution. We can't replace it overnight. So, but I don't think that people, I think overall the model that we're using is still very focused on getting a diploma to get a certain job, in a certain industry. And that's breaking down. I think everybody knows that's kind of breaking down, right? So,
sure.
So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, to your earlier point that focus on communication and creative jobs, I think that should be the focus. Moreover, I think we should start to sort of personalize the education system rather than giving everybody the same education, because everybody is different. Everybody has different caliber. What do you think about that?
I agree. Even a step further, what I would love to even look for ways to be part of it, and innovative business models that can attack or solve parts of this problem would be to help. I really think what we need to look at is helping young people, or anyone, doesn't matter age, helping people in mass to focus more on individual extreme ownership of their own learning and growth. Because I don't think that's the model that we're using right now. You don't choose what you learn. Somebody's paid to teach you, and then you get a diploma where you someday you finish. And I think psychologically, subconsciously, that doesn't really set us up very well to take advantage of the time we live in, which is we have access to all knowledge, right? So, but people are not, like you, I know you have a lot of courses on Udemy, right? There's so much information out there from experts in any field, but people don't know where to start, and they haven't really been taught how to put learning, strategically into their daily lives. So I think just for me, the core concept is I want to help as many people as I can get onto a better path of self-teaching and taking more just mental and emotional ownership of their own growth. Because then no matter what the school system is, you still know how to supplement that, or, and then obviously continue on after you've finished that program.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Like, one thing I'll say here is like, this is where AI can actually be helpful, because if you want to personalize the educational system or any type of personalization, AI will play a big role in that. So, even though it may take away some jobs, it may actually help us prepare for the future, right?
Good point. Maybe AI can be better used to help us find good content, things that we really want to learn, because it's out there. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. Now, tell me a little bit about entrepreneurial mindset, because you grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and it's incidental, but today I found out that one entrepreneur, I didn't know him, but he was having a difficult time. He started several businesses, and over the 5 years, he did not have any success. So ultimately, he got so frustrated, he actually committed suicide. So, it touched me, that incident. And this importance of mindset and being mentally prepared for the entrepreneurial journey, that became a very hot topic for me. So what is your opinion about this? How do you train your mind to face these challenges?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's a big question to unpack. I think I would start addressing that topic from the perspective of what is success in the minds of people who want to be entrepreneurs. So I see a lot of people who have corporate background, or whatever their background is, and then they decide they really have this dream, or they have this idea, they have this passion to go into business, and they're just very, very driven, I think, by the vision of creating something that was their idea, getting it to the point of quote unquote success. And then of course there's the financial aspect, but these measurements of success often are a trap, because even if you do, really, when you see people who have achieved them, it doesn't necessarily mean you're happy. And So are we defining success really the way we want it to be? And if we imagined if it was successful by those standards, what would change? What would be the same? And if there's still a lot of things that would be the same that you don't like, then maybe that's the whole picture. So this is a very, very big topic, but my core recommendation to anyone would be, along the way and even before you start, keep asking yourself, who is it that you want to become along that journey? Because I think it's far more important to be focused on who we're becoming rather than all the stuff we're doing, because all the things you're doing in business, sometimes you can't control them, sometimes you're wrong, sometimes they fail. But if you're focused more on the information you're taking in and kind of who you're developing yourself into, that where you can still look at those failures and say, I learned a ton and now I'm a different person and I can move on to another opportunity. But it's the actual journey of growth, I think, that is more rewarding than the business success. So
exactly.
That's one thing I would start with.
I completely agree. I think knowing yourself as a person plays a big part in this. So as you put it, it's more about the journey, learning and growing yourself as a person rather than financial success or some other measures that society has set up for us. And I think in your story you brought it up, like you were a successful entrepreneur in US and you still thought something was missing, right?
Yeah, very much. I had 2 construction companies that were grossing roughly 4.5 million a year, and built them pretty fast. By a lot of people's measurement, that would be success, right? I often don't even talk about that because I don't really think of it that way anymore, because I wasn't paying any attention to who I was becoming, and like I was angry all the time. I was really overweight. I had headaches. I just was a mess. So on paper things looked good, but no, it wasn't great.
This topic is coming up lately more and more about loneliness. So, entrepreneurs, they say, obviously they're trying to do something that nobody else has done it. So even sometimes their family members, friends do not support them. So do you think life of the entrepreneur is a little bit lonely?
It often is. I think it often is. But it doesn't have to be. I think it's important to recognize that that's a real thing, and that honestly, if you ask me what causes businesses to fail, I would say underlying cause of almost all failure is some kind of emotional pattern. And it's the fact that, loneliness can be one of them. People get depressed, people get confused, frustrated, embarrassed. There's a lot of reasons why people success, and it's often at the core, it's actually the way they feel. And so entrepreneurs who end up in a very lonely situation, they often are unsure how to ask for help. They don't know who to ask, because maybe maybe their pride doesn't let them ask. But I think it's something that if I would give coaching advice to a new entrepreneur, one of the big pieces of advice I would give them is really go out there and build a small circle to start with of people who you can really reach out to periodically and stay in touch with. Maybe find a mastermind group, even if they're not specifically connected to what you do, just people that have the right energy or they're reading the right things. Find people who think the way you want to think, and they're acting the way you want to act. Not necessarily have the lifestyle you want. It's up to you. That's not my best measurement, but so surrounding yourself on purpose, get out there and work, get advice. Having a coach is a really good idea if you can. Don't be alone. It's not necessary, because it really will slow you down.
Great. Well said. All right. So now let's talk about your journey. So you said, you set up 2 construction companies, and then you set up a new company in Philippines. Along the way, you must have made some mistakes. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did it turn out? What kind of mistakes did you make? How did you overcome them?
Wow. Where to start? So many. I've been involved in businesses in many different industries. So construction was kind of where I started. I've been involved. I had a cybersecurity company. We got all the way to a proof of concept with directors of MasterCard. Like I've done a lot of different things. I've done advising, coaching, and been on the board of a number of different companies in many industries, and made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I don't know which one to pick out. I would say,
I mean, something that you remember specifically, like if something stands out. If not, then we can move on to the next question.
one mistake that really stands out is more of a pattern, I think, in my 20s, by not realizing, by not having a habit of putting ideas in from other places. I could only see what I could see, and I think the big mistake was just not gaining bigger perspective by having a habit of learning new things. And so, in my first couple of companies, I don't think the mistake was the partner. I actually ended up having 4 equal partners, and a lot of people would say that's a huge mistake. It might be, but I think the bigger mistake was I thought that because I perhaps had more experience in operating that kind of a business, more experience in sales, I had been successfully running one of those businesses pretty much on my own, that when we had a bigger partnership, that people should just automatically kind of listen to me and defer to my judgment. But I think I really wasn't using the concepts from How to Win Friends and Influence People. I was really not using them. And I ended up, I think the business did not do as well as it would have if I had paid a lot more to the relationships and how I made people feel. Yeah. It didn't matter if I was right. It didn't matter if I was good at it. What mattered was I was making people feel the wrong way. And prioritizing that, just taking better care of relationships in business, I think was where I made a lot of mistakes for the first number of years. Yeah. I think I'm getting gradually getting better now. Go ahead.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's a very important lesson, and I can relate to that. I've gone through similar issues, and it's all about, as you put it, like, communication and again, looking inside you, what makes you do these type of things, and trying to address them, so that people around you feel whether they are working with you, for you, or whatever. All right.
Can I share one real quick thing? This is just a question. I've been using this question over the last 2 years, and I really love it. So I just want to share it.
Sure.
And I wish I had this 15 years ago. When someone that I'm interacting with, working with, or who's working for me, says something that kind of really bugs me and makes it difficult to deal with, I keep asking this question: what can I learn from this behavior that I don't respect in this person right now? It's not the person, it's the behavior. And what can I learn from it? And the more you can focus your attention on understanding why people, psychologically, emotionally behave the way they do, it just changes everything. And it's hard to be angry and curious at the same time. So just a tip that's really been helping me that I thought I could share.
Very cool. That's awesome. Now let's talk about the mechanics of building a company. So, every company, especially for-profit companies, they need revenue, they need customers. So how do you grow your customer base? How do you get your first clients when you start a company?
First clients probably depends a bit on the model. If it's B2C or B2B would make a difference, but often I think most companies will, especially if you're starting small and bootstrapping, which is the name of this show, your first customers are probably going to come from people and that can be a good thing. There's lower risk. I think the sooner, in fact, I even highly recommend, if there's any possible way that you can pre-sell or get your product out before it's even ready, and just get so much data back. But as far as growing in the early days, so people to start with, get a lot of data back, and then once you've got something that they like, referrals. I think I can't remember her name right now, but there's a really nice sales, it's called referral selling, I think, referral selling. I could give you the link later, but
sure.
I think it's a really good idea to have a formally designed referral generation system. And it could be you're giving your existing customers, a discount or some kind of a gift or something if they do refer you. But simply just having a good system of asking for referrals is a really good early days way to grow with very little capital, very little investment in marketing or sales. And then as you scale, you need to find a traction channel that is scalable. And the book Traction, there's two books called Traction, but the one, I can't remember the author right now, but the one that's about growing your business, it has 19 different traction channels in it, and it has this bullseye brainstorming model that I think is very useful to figure out which ones do you want to test, how do you test them over short periods of time, and then find the one that's really gonna scale through your business. It's a really good book. It's an easy read.
Awesome, that's great. And so you mentioned bootstrapping. Have you bootstrapped any of your companies so far?
I don't think I've really raised capital. The only company that I've been involved with that did raise capital was a SaaS company that I was a VP of for 2 years. I helped them build their sales model. But yeah, I would say most of the companies that I've either helped start or started myself have been basically bootstrapped.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit, like, do you think it's an advantage, disadvantage for entrepreneurs to bootstrap their companies? Which way do you recommend they should go? Should they raise money first, or should they try to bootstrap the company?
I think that taking on outside investors can be very distracting. And if you could possibly build a business without it, then you've got a model that really works. You've got something, that there are times when tech startups they need to compete by taking over different, by penetrating certain markets, that it's been very logical to take on lots of capital so you can grow fast. But in general, I think we're a little bit caught up in this idea of getting an investment to grow. And you've seen so many stories where people just never figured out a model that was actually profitable, and then all that capital goes to naught, right? So I do deeply believe in building a model that could sustain itself through growth.
Yeah.
And
cool.
If you can find a way to not have, I love these, and I love investors, and I want to be investing in more businesses as I go along, right? But it just can really be a big distraction you need to explain every decision to the investors, etc. So I believe in bootstrapping.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. Actually, there was a study done in, I think it was Inc. magazine or Harvard Business Review. They said that there's a negative correlation between the amount of money people raise or startups raise and the probability of their success. So if you raise more money, it's actually less likely you will succeed.
It's exciting and it's tempting, but yeah, I think that makes sense to me.
Sure. So now, if you're launching your own company, you're bootstrapping it, you can't do much without a dream team, people helping you out. So what is your methodology of attracting the right people, building the right culture for your startups or your companies?
Yeah, another topic that could be discussed for days or weeks. But I think that for me, one of the big lessons I've learned over the years is building a team based on values, actually building a team based on the people themselves. My business partners and I, we really believe in growth mindset. So we don't necessarily look for people who are, you want A players, right? I'm not going to argue with that, but what is the definition of an A player? Is an A player the person who is just the best in the world at online marketing or content writing or graphic design or whatever it is, sales? Maybe, but all of those things are evolving so fast, right? It doesn't matter if you're the best right now or not. What matters is how much can you learn and how fast, what's your habit of teaching yourself? We really focus on finding people that already have strong habits of self-learning. Like we hire readers. If you don't read books, you're going to have a hard time getting a job with us. I like open people. I like people that are willing to be vulnerable and admit their mistakes, and they don't get disappointed when they make mistakes. So I think building a culture that you've really thought through what you value and what you want that culture to be based on, and then hiring people that fit those values truly, not just, you get excited about people because they're talented or they're very agreeable or they're great communicators. And then 2-3 months down the road, you kind of find out that some of the values that you really do care about, they're not really there. So take your time, try to hire people that fit your values. And then probably most important, and this is not an easy one, not easy advice to follow, but you want to attract amazing people. You got to be that person. Be someone that they think they can learn from. Be someone that you want amazing people in your company. You want them to stay. Show them that you're going to lead them toward growth, and make sure that they understand your vision, not only of what you want the company to become, but who you want to help them become.
Yeah, that's very good advice. Very sensible advice for sure.
Not easy to follow, though. I admit, not easy.
Yeah, no, I mean, we are all humans. We are all flawed, but as long as you have some sort of a guideline to guide you, you always make an effort to move towards that direction. So even getting that direction is good enough, I think. Yeah. So you brought up a number of good points here. Now, you also talk about this concept of extreme ownership. Is that part of your culture that you want to build as well in your companies?
Definitely. There's a good book by the same name called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, and he was in the military. It was he had a lot of great stories about how at first he didn't take full responsibility for things that were happening, that he felt like leaders had kind of not given him the opportunity to do things the way he wanted to. And then he changed his mindset and said, no, I know what happened here. I'm going to lead up. And he learned how to do it the right way. I absolutely want myself with people who are willing to do that. I don't want a vertical organization where people, are waiting to be told what to do. I want to bring people on board who think in different ways than I do and would challenge me. And extreme ownership, not only of their own learning and growth, but extreme ownership of the future of the company. Like if it's a shared vision and they care about it, then I want people that, and it's not, especially in the culture I'm in right now, that is not that's not a common thing you find in people. So it's something that really you have to kind of cultivate in people.
Great. Awesome. Is there, this has been an amazing conversation. Is there anything else that I haven't asked about entrepreneurship or building companies or, just living in Philippines that you may want to share with the audience today?
I think perspective is something, just because you mentioned living in the Philippines. I will say, I don't know how many people that listen to you are from the US, or I don't know if this even applies to Canadians, but we don't get out and see the world enough. And when you move around more, it's changed me so much living in different places. The perspective that I've gotten, and the beliefs that I had that I thought were just true, no, they're not actually true. And it's just changed so much about the way I look at the world. And I think three main areas we should be paying attention to. One is what you said earlier, like constantly asking ourselves, what is it about myself that I don't yet understand? And I don't think this is not something we finish. This is a lifelong challenge to learn about ourselves, the way other people work. How do we work? How do other people work? And therefore, how does the world work? Because the world works the way it does because of the way people work. Our fears, our psychology, our emotions, like the world is built around that. And the more you can focus on learning, and travel really helps that. It's hard to explain why it accelerates it so much, but when you just transplant yourself to another culture, it just kind of you probably know what I mean.
Exactly.
I couldn't recommend it more. Get around the world if you can. It will help you in business. I know that sounds weird, but it's true.
No, I completely agree. And, I meet a lot of people, obviously, in North America. They haven't traveled outside the country. So that's one recommendation I always give them, go outside and probably visit some other countries, maybe, visit countries third world countries, and see people, how they live. They are so tenacious, they just don't give up. And they're trying to make a better life for themselves, for their families, with very little resources that they have. And, they don't complain. And so you learn a lot. If other members of our own species can get by with so little, I don't think then, we should be complaining. I think that's what happens when you travel abroad. You start complaining less and less. And as you put it, you take ownership more and more.
I think comfort actually can be an enemy, and
Yeah.
we don't grow when we're comfortable. We have to actually
Yeah.
get uncomfortable to grow, and we don't do this on purpose enough.
Yeah.
So so I think travel does that to you. But it's good if you can stay in a place for a good while, and then you start to see not just being a tourist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for this lovely conversation. I think everybody in the audience got a lot of, good, valuable nuggets of advice from you. Now, before I let you go, can you tell us a little bit about your company, how people can reach out?
Sure. So the company that I'm focusing most of my energy on right now is our software development company. We're an agency here in the Philippines, and I think that a lot of companies out there could benefit from outsourcing part or all software development, but it's kind of got a bad rap for good reason, because it often doesn't work well when you try to hire developers in another place that either don't understand your business model, or maybe they don't actually care as much about that. They just want to get paid. It can turn out poorly. So my partner Garrick and I are both lifelong entrepreneurs. We're not by training developers, but we have an amazing team of developers here that we work very closely with. They're in our office, and we just love helping entrepreneurs. We love helping startups. We love helping SaaS companies. We often even do projects for enterprises in business process backend, custom software. So feel free to reach out to us and jump on a call with me and see if we can be a good fit for that or not. If somebody's building software, if you know someone, let me know.
That's great. That's great. What is the website address? We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, it's Valhalla Online Services.com.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much once again, and hope to have another chat with you soon.
Thanks, Manuj. Enjoyed it.
Bye. All right. And that's all for now. Until next time. And if you're an existing or an aspiring tech entrepreneur, then I invite you to check out my new online workshop, Bootstrapping Your Tech Startup Dreams. Go to bootstraptechstartup.com and sign up for free. I want to make sure that more successful and sound decisions are made every day in your tech projects. Let's start finding solutions to your problems. So go to bootstraptechstartup.com, and I look forward to helping you with your tech projects. If you want more engaging videos and insightful interviews with industry's thought leaders, then check out other videos we have picked for you. The link is right there. And if you want to be notified about our new content, please do consider subscribing to our channel.